Go Fish is a popular game to play in ESL. It's great fun for practicing asking and answering questions. Also, with some clever tweaks, you can make it into a repeatable vocab practice game. I'm Will from Enchanted ESL, and in this video I'll explain what Go Fish is, how to play, and how you can adapt it to suit the needs of your class. You've probably heard of and played Go Fish or a similar game. It's super easy for kids as young as 6 or 7 to learn. It's ideal for beginner students practicing asking and answering questions. You can adapt it to make it more challenging for lower intermediates, but I wouldn't bother using it with upper intermediates and advanced. You can play it with any group size, and if you have a one-on-one class, you can just play against your student. However, if you do have a larger class, more than 8 students, you should split them up into separate games, otherwise you'll run out of cards. Speaking of which, you do need a set of cards. Standard ones like this are great, or you can make your own custom deck, which I'll show you how to do later. Each round takes about 15 to 20 minutes, so I think it's ideal for use at the end of a class for a bit of fun practice. So let's look at how to play. Shuffle the cards and deal 5 face down to each player. If you're playing with just 2 or 3 players, deal 7 each. Put the remaining cards in the middle face down. This is the C. Students should not reveal their cards, but for explanation purposes we're going to see them all. We have 4 players: Aya, Stefan, Carla and Ibrahim. The aim of the game is to create groups of 4 cards of the same value. The suits, hearts, spades, etc. don't matter. And it doesn't matter what the value is, high or low, you just want to get 4 of them. Choose a player to start. Do this randomly, it doesn't matter all that much. Aya goes first. Aya chooses another player and asks them a question to see if they have a card of a particular value. She can only ask for a value that she already has, so she could ask for 2, 5, 8 or 10. Let's say she asks Carla, "Do you have any 10s?" Now Carla has a 10. Carla must give all their cards of that value to the person who asks them, saying, "Yes, I do." She hands over the 10. Now Aya has started a collection. It is still Aya's turn. Now she asks Ibrahim, "Do you have any 10s?" Ibrahim doesn't have any, so says, "No, I don't. Go fish." Aya takes a single card from the top of the sea and puts it in her hand, and this marks the end of her turn. If Ibrahim had a 10 and given it to her, Aya's turn would have continued, so in theory she could have asked more and more questions, but the turn always ends when they get a no, go fish. Now the turn passes to the left, so it's Stefan's turn. On his turn, he does the same, asking questions and getting cards or being told to go fish. Remember the rule that a player can only ask another person for a card that they already have at least one of. This means it's really important to listen to what other players say, so you can learn what's in their hand. Everyone knows now that Aya has at least 2 10s, so if they have a 10 in their hand, they can take them off her. In fact, this is exactly what Stefan does. He asks Aya, "Do you have any 10s?" and Aya must say yes and hand over all of her 10s. She has 3 of them. This completes a set for Stefan. Good for him, bad for Aya. When a player has a complete set of 4, they put them face up on the table in front of them and get a point. The winner at the end of the game is the person with the most points, so Stefan is in the lead right now. Play goes on this way with students asking and answering. Sometimes their hands can get pretty big, especially when there are fewer players. However, sometimes they can run out of cards in their hand. If they start their turn with no cards, they immediately draw 5 cards from the sea and then end their turn. They don't get to ask any questions on that. If there are fewer than 5 cards remaining in the sea, they just take what's left. And if there are none, well, they miss out. When the sea is empty, play continues. Usually at this stage there's lots of big swings as players mostly know what the others have. When all the cards are in sets face up on the table, the game ends. Count who has the most sets, and they win. In this case, Aya and Carla both have 5, so they draw. If you're finding the video helpful, please hit the like button. It really helps the channel grow. Thanks. The main English practice in Go Fish is asking questions like "Do you have any?" and answering them with "Yes, I do" or "No, I don't." That's pretty basic. To expand it and add more challenge, brainstorm some different ways of asking and answering those questions. Have you got any, or could you give me some good alternatives for the question? And for answers, sure I do. Absolutely. Not this time, I'm afraid. Sorry, I can't do that. Write down these phrases and make them visible during the game. If they're still reluctant to use these phrases, make a rule where they can't repeat a question and an answer. Another good thing to do is take part yourself. Not only do students love taking sets of 3 off you and creating their collections, but also you can introduce new language. Vary your questions and answers, and students will listen to them and start using them themselves. The game is still somewhat limited in this form though. After a few rounds of playing, students won't be learning much new. Yes, it practices numbers and the words of the different types of cards from a standard deck, but not much else. So switch it up with custom decks using different vocabulary. I made this one, which I've been playing with some 7-year-olds. There are 4 of each animal, and the animals are new vocabulary for them. They get lots of practice saying tricky words like hedgehog. With a standard set of cards, there are 13 values, but you don't need to make 30. I only have 8 different animals, so there are 32 cards in total. If you have a larger group though, you will need more cards. You need at least 5 cards for each player in the group, plus about 10 or 15 more for the C. So if you have a group of 7, you need at least 45 cards. You can use animals like in my custom deck, which I'll put a printable file down in the description, or you can choose any other vocabulary category. Just make sure to print them on card or very thick paper. These ones are on pretty thick paper, but in the light you can see through them pretty easily. Or don't print them and just write the words by hand. It's nice to have a picture on them, but it's not necessary. Here's another way of adding some interest and challenge. Instead of each set of 4 being the same card, make them different cards but belonging to the same category. Let's keep our animal example. We could have a penguin, a chicken, an eagle, and a parrot. 4 individual cards, but they all make a set because they're all birds. And you could do another set with reptiles: lizard, snake, tortoise, crocodile. Plus, if you don't tell students what the categories are, the first time they play, they'll have the added puzzle of trying to work out what the sets are. And that's how you do it. Go Fish is a fantastic game that my students want to play over and over again. But you have to resist, you can't play it every week. Try something new instead. Another game that's ideal for beginners to learn vocabulary is Hot Potato, and you can find out my best tips on how to make that game shine in your classroom right here. But for now, I've been Will from Enchanted ESL, wishing you all the joy and success in your teaching. See ya.